Good morning, all. We'll get started here in just a bit. So good to see everyone. Let everybody get their faces populated on our Brady Bunch tiles and audio connected. Good to see some furry friends on the screen as well, too, as I scan here. All right, let's go ahead and get rolling. So welcome all to Town Hall this Sunday. I'm Nathan. I'm going to be holding down the fort today. Excited that you're all here and have joined us. Ring a bell, say a little prayer, see what happens. May all beings possess happiness and the inner causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the inner causes of suffering. May all beings remain undivided from the sacred joy which is free from suffering. May all beings come to rest in great peace and equanimity, beyond attachment and aversion to friends, enemies, or strangers. All right. For that, we can just settle in. Feel free to grab a drink, a stretch. Find any position that's comfortable to you. No need to be in any particular position, eyes open, eyes closed, whatever works for you, whatever you're feeling today. Just taking some time to settle and arrive. Maybe letting the mind settle in the body, taking note of any sensations you might have in the body. Letting the body settle, be supported by whatever position you're in. Relaxing, releasing, settling in for a nice Sunday of doing nothing. Taking a little time here, a break from overdoing, from our usual habits. This time we set aside to get together with others and practice. Thinking of the Lama Surya's line, practice is perfect. So settling in. And maybe as a bit of a warm-up, I thought we might start off with a bit of a gratitude practice. So just taking it easy, not being overly effortful, but just allowing something to come to mind that you feel gratitude for. Be someone, something. And not just kind of thinking of that gratitude, but really feeling what comes up, feeling that gratitude in the body and the heart, softening, allowing. And then maybe allowing something else to come to mind that you're feeling grateful for. You may or may not find this useful, but I kind of like, I call it a lightning round of gratitude. Just letting things come quickly, and then as soon as it comes to mind, I just give a quick internal thank you, and then allow something else. So it reminds me of the vast number of things I'm thankful for. And no worries if you're struggling to come up with things or you draw a blank. There are different quotes that I often use to kind of jog my memory. Thich Nhat Hanh has a quote that I love that's something to the effect of, "It's a miracle beyond comprehension that we're even here." That's a good place to start sometimes. Thanks to everything that has allowed that to be possible and continues to allow that to be possible. And again, really focusing on the feeling that comes up, not just a checklist or a checkbox or a mental activity, but really experiencing gratitude, tuning into that fully. I really like this as a warm-up, but it's one of those warm-ups that I think goes all the way as well, too. I don't know about you, but when I kind of check around at what changes when I'm really feeling grateful and when I'm really doing this practice is sort of naturally breaks this habitual story, this selfing, the story of who I am, who I'm not, kind of habitual patterned thinking. You might call it obsessive thinking about certain things, or replaying the same things, replaying the same narratives. It's a little bit of a natural break through that as a way just to kind of ease into a more natural way of being. And that's really kind of going to be the meditation today, is really a non-meditation, just natural and at ease. No need to transition or start trying to meditate. I was reading a Dujum Rinpoche passage recently. It started off with kind of cut through the mind was the advice, right? It was sort of like, hey, if you cut through the mind, then you've got it, and if you don't cut through the mind, then the mind's still going to find its way to weasel in. I like this type of advice and find it helpful, but some part of me is like, what does that mean exactly? Cut through the mind. What exactly do you have in mind? And how do you do it? I think what it points to is to really recognize what goes on with just the regular way that we experience things, and just taking this time to really observe whatever comes up in the way of thoughts and feelings, internal or external, not with the idea to change really anything or to block anything out or to hold on to anything or to figure anything out, but just to see what arises. And then to recognize that all these different things that arise, we don't have to attach so tightly to them. We don't have to cling so tightly to them. They may not be as solid and permanent and fixed as we sometimes perceive them to be or convince ourselves they are. But really on the how to do it front, I think it's more of an undoing. It's more of a letting go and allowing. So there's really nothing to do in this particular meditation, just taking a break And the list of things to undo is potentially infinite. Sometimes I find it helpful to go down the list of, hey, let go of this and let go of that. But it's bottomless. Sometimes just dropping and flopping, right? Just completely letting it go. I like the idea of maybe carrying all these things in a backpack. You're walking up the mountain, weighed down by all these habits. Just drop it off the back, just let it go, and enjoy the relief of walking up there. Until you start picking up rocks along the way and other things to add to your collection, so to speak. That's okay. So just in allowing things to be the way they are, allowing ourselves to be the way we are, in this passage from Dujum, he says something to the effect of, there's not a single thought the mind will not think, right? There's not a single thing it won't think to do or want or need. But thinking's not an enemy. The thoughts are not an enemy. That's not really the problem. The problem is attaching to really taking up every single thing the mind suggests to us. And I love Lama sometimes gives talks about it's like watching the popcorn popper pop. Just like let it pop. We don't need to butter and salt it. I'm also a big popcorn fan, and I actually do like to butter and salt it, so I like that one. Just it really hits for me because I want to butter and salt it, right? Like I would love to do that. But just seeing if we can take a break from that, at least for this time. Sometimes it can be helpful just to watch as thoughts come and go, as experiences come and go. Just to check for ourselves if it isn't the case that whatever arises sort of dissolves on its own, in its own way, in its own time. Sometimes reminded even of just the practice of ringing a bell and following the sound all the way. The sound arises, dissolves in its own way, in its own time. See the metaphor of waves in the ocean pretty often. Wave rises and falls back in because there's nowhere else for it to go. Similar with thoughts and whatever other experience we might have, feelings, perceptions, anything going on externally, sounds. Again, just seeing clearly, seeing for ourselves it isn't the case that these various phenomena arise on their own, they dissolve on their own, in their own place, in their own time. There's nothing for us to do. It's just an allowing. And maybe a recognizing. It's recognizing what's going on. Vividly present, awake, aware, attentive, fully present, not sleepwalking, not on autopilot. So just taking some time to rest in the recognition of whatever arises, free and at ease, natural. Just kind of take a look again and again. Start fresh as many times as you want or need. If you feel distracted at all, it's enough just to restart, start fresh. Grab a drink, stretch. As often as you like. Just taking it a moment at a time, one breath at a time. Dynamically present, awareing. Again, not about having any particular experience or not having a particular experience. More about just staying present to whatever arises, leaving things alone, taking a break from stirring and shaking. When our kids were younger, we made these mindfulness jars, they were called, but mason jars filled with water and glitter. And anyway, you shake them up and then just watch the glitter settle, right? It's kind of a fun practice and a fun way to kind of get used to just leaving things be. And also kind of the maybe natural effect of leaving things be. They naturally settle. We don't need to exert effort to calm or settle. Just allowing. I think I got more out of that activity than the kids did probably, but they seem to be a little more natural at it. But I like it. So you can maybe at least just for the moment dropping the narrative of me, myself, and I, and just experiencing what's here now, vivid, fresh, authentic. And again, just taking some time to rest in things as they are, relaxing, releasing, allowing. And if you'd like, join me in another restart, stretch break, drink break, refresh. And whenever you're ready, start fresh. Take a look at what's going on right now. Not getting stuck. And if we're having a so-called wanted kind of mood, you don't have to try to hang on. Just tuning into what's here right now. Going back to this line of something like cutting through the mind, seeing through the mind. Might be a little bit of a question of what's beyond that, right? If you see through, cut through, what's there? Well, you can check it out and see, right? See if there is anything there. One way to do that. There's a lot of little things you can do that might help. But one is, as you're watching these thoughts come and go, maybe seeing if you can't recognize that gap between thoughts, that space between one thought and the next. And it's not about the gap itself or the length of time of the gap, just noticing the recognition, just as a way to point to something maybe upstream from the thoughts. No need to try to describe it or analyze it or figure it out in any way or to hold on to it, but you might find a spaciousness, an openness, a stillness, a calmness, clarity, vividness. And not really about getting rid of thoughts. Just seeing thoughts and whatever else arises more clearly. Seeing through this conceptual overlay that makes us feel separate. recognizing awareness, natural. Nothing to create, transform. It's free and at ease. And not worrying if we have thoughts popping up or we feel distracted, just bringing awareness to whatever arises, including these thoughts. It's not about thought stopping. See many familiar faces and seasoned meditators, and also folks that are new to me. And regardless of your 10,000th time or first time sitting, I think we've all had the experience of starting off and being like, that's a lot of thoughts. I think I'm doing this wrong. I remember the first time I got serious about meditating, and my mind's kind of a crazy place, actually. There's a lot of thought going on there. It's like, yep. Just recognizing it, right? You almost feel like you're creating the chaos by looking, but just seeing it. Not trying to resist it. But experiencing directly and fully, feeling whatever is there to be felt. And if you'd like, join me in another restart, stretch break. Coffee or tea break. So nice to be here with you all. Got a teenager in my house now, so I get teen slang. So if you've got any of these teens around, you know, lock in is what they say for focus. Lock in. So now that we restart, it's time to lock in. I can also assure you, if I ever use any of this slang in public, I am persona non grata in this house. Does not go over well. So I study it just to know it. But I think I'm safe here. I don't think anybody's gonna scold me for embarrassing myself with Gen Alpha wording. So really nothing to do but to be fully present, awake, aware, attentive. That Dijam Rinpoche passage I was mentioning earlier that started off with this cutting through the mind, I was going to read the last 3 lines. It says, if you can sustain the continuity of mindfulness in all situations, whether eating, sleeping, moving about, or sitting, in meditation or in post-meditation, that itself is enough. So there you go. What else is there? That's enough. So that's all we have to do. Sustain the continuity of mindfulness. Maybe add, if it ever gets discontinuous, if we ever lose that, just start fresh. No problem. I think you might want to join me in trying as just a way to kind of cut through, to see through, is just to pop the question, who or what is experiencing this right now? Just popping the question, not trying to intellectually answer it, just popping the question, see what comes up. Might find, even just for an instant, it kind of disrupts the usual flow of thought and inner narrator. Just as a way of seeing what, if anything, is upstream. As a way of glimpsing if there's a there. remember popping the question of who or what is experiencing this and sort of getting no answer. And I think Alama said something to the effect of, maybe get comfortable with that, not knowing. Not needing to answer or start layering conceptualization on top of that experience, just simply experiencing directly, fully. May all beings everywhere, with whom we are inseparably interconnected and who want and need the same as we do, may they be awakened, liberated, healed, fulfilled, safe, and free. May there be peace and harmony in this world, an end to war and violence, poverty and hunger, inequality and oppression, greed and cruelty, pandemics, famine, droughts, earthquakes, all kinds of natural disasters. May all be free from fear, harm, danger, anxiety, and insecurity. May we better prepare ourselves for the natural calamities that beset us all, and may we all together complete the spiritual journey, one beloved community, one circle, one family, all the way home. I bow to all of you. Thank you so much for your practice. Feel free to pop in the chat or unmute yourself with any questions, sharing, comments. Any criticisms, go to Dory. She'll handle them. Giving it just a minute here for any questions that might come up. I might just revisit this last line of the Dujam that I read earlier, partly because I really like the fact that it's not specific to meditation, these instructions. So it says, If you can sustain the continuity of mindfulness in all situations, whether eating, sleeping, moving about, or sitting, in meditation or in post-meditation, that itself is enough. Right? Simple enough. Whatever you're doing. So a question says, besides glitter water, have you introduced your children to mindfulness? It's a great question. It's something I've thought about a lot over the years. Our kids are 14 and 11 now. And, how to teach a great number of subjects is always of interest to me with kids. One thing I've discovered is, maybe I knew this from being a kid, is kids don't always want you to dictate lessons to them. They're sort of a subtle type of thing. But, the main thing I've settled on more recent years is just trying to be to the best extent I can a good example, meaning my kids are familiar with my practice. My son's milling around. I haven't actually seen him on camera. There's Kelsey. Yeah, he's right to the side there. So he's milling around. So he hears what I have to say on here. My daughter picks up on it as well, too, although she's a little bit older, and so she's in seclusion usually during these times. I asked Lama Surya about this very topic years ago, and I don't remember the exact answer, but it was basically like, it's good to talk about these things and explain them. And, kids are more likely to do as you do than do as you say type of thing. But he also said they're more likely to be how you be. So maybe even kind of upstream from the example of really trying to make sure kind of in the right mindset, let's say, in interacting with them. And I think it transmits well, but we had all sorts of books, which, on mindfulness and, various practicing things. And I think those were cool and beneficial, but that's kind of moved away from the more formal lesson, let's say, and try to keep it more natural. And Anahita, yeah, you say you have a question. Go ahead and unmute.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this was wonderful. This was my first time joining you all in this
Awesome.
room.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll just briefly say, so I started on this Dzogchen meditation back in April, in the sense that I've been co-teaching with my teacher here in town in Santa Barbara on Monday nights, but I really wasn't as well versed as I wanted to be in this form of meditation. She's really teaching from here. So I was really profoundly impacted by it when I started taking it in, and especially through Lama Surya Das's, just through an online course of his through Sounds True. And so since then, I've been kind of immersing myself in both Dzogchen and Mahamudra, but it's felt, I guess, rather, I don't know, scattered, disorganized, just kind of fluid. And maybe that's all good, but I was just curious to ask you whether you had any input around a nice way to just kind of get started, if it feels like a little bit of structure, a little bit of a starting place, whether it's your teachings, meditations, or books that feel like a nice foundation rather than my little bit more scattered approach.
Absolutely. Let me grab. I'm glad this book is actually nearby me, but Lama Surya has this book, Natural Radiance, that is a short book, and it also comes with an audio CD, so if you can have a CD player still at this stage. And there's other places you can get the audio, but it has some guided meditations, but it sort of walks through a description of the Dzogchen practices in a really essentialized way. So on the book front, that's one of my favorites to get started. It's also super, super quick. And I think I mentioned this the last time I led possibly, but when I was kind of in the beginning stages, I had questions too about, what do I do to kind of round out my practice? And practicing with others has been huge for me. So, taking time to read and study a little bit every day has been huge, but finding a group, whether this group has been such a great find. One of our Sangha members, Timo, has got the Dzogchen LA group that meets daily online, and they meet, I think, back to meeting in person in LA. I live in Kansas City, but a lot of that group is LA based. That could be a cool group to connect with as well. Just try to practice every day too, right? Just to have some sort of, even if it's not super long, just have some sort of formalish practice, some time of reflection, some time of study. And then doing the group work and connecting with other people was huge for me. So.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
that'll really help.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here. We're here same time, same place, every Sunday. I might also mention on the topic Dzogchen.org, Dzogchen Foundation's website. has a lot of great resources. Many folks here are members. Good thing to check out. It's got a lot of Llama's materials there. So I can hear my inner Menla saying we are past time. It's so great to see you all. Thank you so much for joining. See you same time, same place next week. Hope everybody has a great week. Take care all. Bye-bye.